Welcome back to Train Tuesday, and believe it or not, January is almost over. Hard to believe, but yeah, that's true. January is almost over. We are talking about the last items in the January release. Don't forget, you've only got till Friday the 28th. That's this week. Go and talk to your dealer and make your final selections for pre-order so that they're here next modeling season of 2023. Before we get started, though, let's see who's joining us out there in virtual train land. Let's see who's joining us. I've got Eugene, Anessa, Gary, Donnie from just down the road in St. Louis, Missouri. We've got Idaho Rail fan, Roger, Ron coming in from New Jersey. And Late Night Model Railroad is here, folks. Jonathan all the way up from Windsor, Ontario. Stay tuned. I have something you might like. We've got Jeremy, Shannon, Abel, Derek Glass, and Ibuprofen Dave. I like that name. Vitamin I, my favorite vitamin some days. All right, so like I said, we're going to be talking about a little bit of ready to roll tonight. We're going to be talking some containers. We're also going to be talking about some Roundhouse covered gondolas. And I got some news in here, got some things to show you, and got some videos to share with you. As we continue in the short days, long nights. It's always good to have a good video playing in the background while you're working on your layout or your next project for your layout. So let's do it one more time. Let's see who's out there. Let's see. We've got Bruno, Frederick, John, Jamie. Oh, Jamie's coming all the way in from New Zealand. And we've got Randall, Ted, Mike, Daniel, Mark, Jim, all the way out there in St. Albans, Vermont. I hope you're doing well out there. Mr. Joel and the MTG squad and Tom, just to name a few. So, wow, we got a full house tonight. That's always good. Thank you for inviting me into your workshop tonight. And let's do what we always do. Let's go ahead and get comfortable. Assume that comfy position in your workshop chair. Grab the beverage of your choice, and let's get started with Train Tuesday. So what we're going to share today, like I said, ready to roll 20-foot containers. Now, these are all available in a 3-pack, and we're offering 2 different 3-packs. So there's enough there to build up 6 of these containers if you buy both of them. Now, these, again, like I said, these are going to be available until the end of January, well, technically Friday the 28th. The first one we got here is Container King. Now, personally, I have not seen much of this guy, but I'm sure a lot of you guys have rail fanning out there. And some of these other ones I know you've seen before. Coming up next, we've got the Hyundai. And depending on what part of the world you live in or what part of the country, some people pronounce it Hyundai, and other people pronounce it Hyundai. But these are pretty much all over the world at this point. These 20-foot containers, I can honestly say I've unloaded a few of these 20-foot containers. They are perfect for some of the smaller, heavier items that we can transport from all over the world. And again, like I said before, these are available in 2 sets of 3. Now, I'm sure everybody out there watching this has seen this before. Evergreen. These are still all over the world, really. Many a time I've gone rail fanning on the Transcon and seen the Evergreens in various sizes. Here we have them in the 20-foot. CGM. Here's another one that a lot of you guys may be seeing these out on the West Coast. They tend to go all over just like any of these containers. Here's a neat one. This is the Max. It's kind of a neat logo that they've got there. And again, these are all going to be available in 2 different packages. So you can get 2 packs each. Each package contains 3 of the containers as seen here. And the nice thing about these is, you know, they're fully assembled. All you got to do is take them out of the package. They stack pretty easily. And, you know, if you look carefully, every single container is numbered differently. So it's not going to be hard for you to mix up your fleet. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys are getting tired of it, but I'm going to say it again. These are great for anything from your standard container train to even if you're modeling the edge of a port. You can line up these containers almost like a backdrop, giving the illusion of a much bigger port in the distance. You can put these in your industrial park. And the cool thing is, I'm sure some of us have even seen these used for other things besides containers. We've seen everything from people using these for homes, storage, I mean, you name it. And just do a search on the internet some night and see some of the creative things that people have done with the containers. And so for your layout, the options are almost endless. They can be used for their standard function from port to truck, or they can be used for a scenery device. I'll let your imagination run wild. I mean, they'll do pretty much anything you want. Now, again, the MSRP on these, $37.99. Your price at your dealer is going to be slightly lower than that. So contact your dealer about these, and you do have until the 28th. So coming up next, we've got some interesting things to talk about in the Roundhouse world. So let's see what Roundhouse has got for us this month. So we got some covered gondolas. Now these are pretty cool. These are Roundhouse. These are, you know, they're going to be molded on details, but they're still going to have nice sharp lettering and painting, and they still look really nice. And they're a great little, again, operating type freight car. Somebody that's just getting into the hobbies, maybe somebody that's younger that's getting into the hobby. Maybe you go to a lot of events where you set up your modular system. Again, these are all great reasons to pick up these Roundhouse cars. Another thing, too, that I've never mentioned in the past is maybe you are one of those prototype modelers and you're holding operation sessions and you realize, I don't have that specific car yet, or that specific car that I want in the Ready to Roll or Genesis line isn't out yet. You can use this as a filler. Use that as the filler until the highly detailed one comes in. So there's so many uses for these. And don't forget, I mean, these do come with McHenry couplers. They come with the metal wheel sets. And the printing and painting on these is just really, really good. I've got a few Roundhouse that I use for a little portable switching layout, and they work out really well for that. So coming up first is the Burlington. And I was pretty excited about this. I'm a Burlington fan. In 1957, Burlington switched their colors. They went to a Chinese red and gray, and it looked really nice on their locomotives. And the Chinese red found itself on many freight cars, including this covered gondola. Now, these were used for a variety of things. They didn't really last that long. Eventually, these were used, eventually these were replaced by different specialty types of freight cars, one of them being a coil cover car. But they did exist, and they were more into the 1940s, 50s, and into the 60s. By the 1970s, they were pretty much, they weren't as common. They could probably still be found, but they weren't as common. So if you're modeling the 1959 to throughout the 60s, even early Burlington Northern, this would be a good car to add to your collection. Coming up next is the nickel plate. This one's going back a little bit. These cars, we tried to get all the lettering and the painting specific to a certain era. And looking at the nickel plate here, we're looking at about 1964 on up. So you could justify running this car in the 70s, and you don't have to keep the covered top on. So a lot of these actually throughout their lives, especially as they went into maintenance away service, they obviously lost their tops. So it's not uncommon to see this in a maintenance away setup later than 64. Now, one thing I do want to mention too, all the cars that I'm showing you, They're available as individual cars, and we're offering them in 3 different road numbers, so it's really easy for you to build up a small fleet of your favorite road. Here comes the Sioux Line. This is another one that kind of going back a little bit. This one here is styled after a paint scheme that was common after about 1961. Lasted through, pretty much on this car, probably lasted throughout its lifespan. And if you're looking for something maybe a little bit newer than 1960s, maybe you're a 1970s modeler, we do have something for you there, and that's under the Rock Island. So Rock Island, kind of a mineral red color, but this is 1973 on up. So this one didn't get that blue paint scheme. This is a slightly older model. And then the last but not least, what we have here is the Southern. Now this is going all the way back to the steam era, believe it or not. This is transition era. This is 1941 on up. We have offered this one in the past. It's been very popular, so we decided to bring it back up again. And you know, another thing too is these are great for, like I said, if you've got a younger modeler that likes to come in and see your layout, let them run their own train. Let them give them the throttle and make them, you know, make up their own train. This is a great way to get somebody into the hobby that's younger, and you don't know the seeds that you're planting. It's a great hobby, and a lot of guys that are you know, younger now in their 20s that have YouTube channels, that's probably how they got their start. So don't forget about these roundhouse items. They're actually a really nice freight car. All right. Chris is saying, man, you know, Bankruptcy Blue, Rock Island covered hoppers would be great. Yeah, maybe next time we'll do that. Delta 9's liking the Gons. Yeah, those are cool. The covered Gons especially too. That's pretty cool. Speed lettering, yes, please. Yeah, the speed lettering looks cool on those. Looks like the Sioux Line's got some fans too. Brian's a fan of that. Let's see. No Chessie stuff right now. Yes, it did, but some of its cars were still out there. As Ibuprofen Dave has said, nickel plate cars, we're still seeing the 80s. I don't doubt it. You know, there's freight cars from their previous owners that still have their names on them. It's not uncommon. Usually the locomotives, and, you know, at one time the non-revenue cars got painted first and then the freight cars. But now the freight cars, especially gondolas, especially if they went into maintenance away, they didn't really get repainted too often. MTG says, yeah, our fire department uses 20-foot containers for storage. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I've seen them actually here at Horizon. We have a really cool model facility offsite, and it's a really nice flying site. It's a fully paved runway. It looks like a full-scale airport. It's just made for model airplanes, and it's also got a racetrack. And the racetrack has, I believe that's a 40-foot container that we're using for storage there, and it's perfect. They're inexpensive. You don't have to worry about any type of structure because that's all done. Easy to lock up, and they can put their supplies in there, their maintenance equipment for the track and things of that nature, the mower. So yeah, they come in real handy. For us to build a structure like that would have cost a lot of money. It was actually cheaper to get a container. Yes, Burlington route is sharp. I've always liked the Burlington route, especially that red and gray paint scheme. Let's see what else we've got. Winona, that's a great comment. If you weather it enough, you won't notice any lack of details. You know, it's funny you mentioned that. I spent a long time, one time, detailing an N-scale Burlington switcher, and after I got done with it, you couldn't tell what was that I had spent all those hours of putting grab irons on. So you're absolutely right. Once they're weathered, yeah, and they're perfect for taking to shows. All right, so it looks like we got some good comments here. Here's a cool comment. First HO freight car, Athearn Blue Box, CB&Q open gondola. I bought it in 1963 and still have it. Yeah, that's cool. There's a lot of those still out there. All right, Eugene's happy. All right. So that's all I've got. That's the end of the announcements for this month. Now, there's a couple of things I did want to talk to you guys about, and that is, don't forget we have the SD90s, the SD90 Mac H's. Now, don't think this is the same locomotive that we've had in the past. This is new. This is new tooling. It's Genesis 2.0, but it's all new tooling. You've got the option of one of two different types of paint schemes for the Union Pacific, and you've also got the demonstrator in that really cool white, dark blue, black, and teal paint scheme. That's the paint scheme EMD used in celebration of their 75th anniversary. So get to your dealers if you're interested in one of these monster locomotives. The other one, too, that we want to talk about, the SD80 Max. You guys were asking for CNW, and you were also asking for that YN3 CSX. So here's your chance. They're available for pre-order. They're going to go fast, especially those CNW ones, because we had so many requests on those. And then last but not least, in the Genesis series, SD45-2s. The SD45-2s, we've got a couple of cool heritage locomotives that we're doing. The NS Erie Lackawanna. We're going to be doing that again. And of course, we're going to be doing the same as BNSF. We're going to be taking 5704 and offering it again, the bicentennial paint scheme, in conjunction with BNSF restoring 5704 to its original 1975 paint scheme, which is really cool. Speaking of news, I hope you guys got a chance to catch our all-new program, the Athearn Extra. It debuted this past Friday at 7 p.m. Central, and it was a good time. We had Tony Cook came on board to help me with the first show, and we talked to John Saradotti from the Amherst Rail Society about their big train show. Where I'm from, we call it the big one. And John came on board and told us about everything that's going on. It's going to be a great show. Now, I do have some bad news, unfortunately. Due to unforeseen things on our side, we are unable to make the show, so we're not going to make it this year, but do stay tuned. We are working with John at Amherst. We're doing some special things, and we are definitely going to be back next year, bigger and better than ever. So small disappointment, but hold tight. We've got some great things in the background that we're going to be sharing with you real soon. Now, the other thing I wanted to show to you guys tonight is some new videos that are out. Well, actually, one of these videos is somewhat older, but it's about the SD80. If you're on the fence about the SD80, you're not quite sure, well, here's a video I'm going to share with you here. And this is from our friend Derek Glass over at DG Model Works. Now, you've probably heard that name before. He's done a lot of reviews, and he's got a really cool Norfolk Southern HO scale layout. So let me grab that. Make sure I've got him here. There we go. And then we get an ad. You got to love YouTube. There we go. So, no, we got the wrong video. All right. I'm not a boomer, trust me. So anyways, go over to DG Model Works. He's got a bunch of reviews for Athearn, but he's also got a review that he did last year on the SD80. And it's a great video. He did a Norfolk Southern and the original Conrail version. So we are doing the Norfolk Southern patch versions, the original Conrails, as well as the CSX and the legendary livery CNW. So you don't want to miss that. That's a great, great setup. And let's see if I can do it better this time. Let's see if I can get another video that I was looking at. Every once in a while, I like to go out on the YouTube and see what everybody's working on. Not just folks that do reviews for us, but just people that are working on their layout, things of that nature. And I came upon this neat little video. It's from, let's see, White River Rails is the name of the YouTube account. And he picked up some SD70 ACUs. Let me go ahead and share this.
Hello.
There we go. We'll make this bigger so you can see it. All right, so yeah, he did a great little review on this model. He's picked up 2 of these on his own for his own layout. And go ahead, if you haven't seen a review of these models, go over to his channel. Again, the name of his channel is White River Rails. And he just posted this a couple of weeks ago, I think it was. He's here talking about the 7000 Canadian Pacific. He also talks briefly about the special military versions as well as the heritage version. But it was a really nice, honest review of the model, and he did a good job. I've also shared it across our Facebook platform, so you may see it on your feed after the show. Go ahead and take a look at it, and take a look at his YouTube channel. He's got some other neat videos in there. He's got some layout stuff that he's working on, and yeah, like I said, it's always neat to see what everybody's working on out there in the YouTube world. All right, we'll go to some questions here in a minute. But I do have something I want to show you that's in the studio. So I'm going to show you something that's in the studio. I want to give you a disclaimer, actually 2 disclaimers. One, keep in mind that the video equipment that we use here in the studio, it is LED. It's as close to natural light as possible, but there are shadows. And what I'm about to show you, the colors are very sensitive to lighting. However, I did want to bring this locomotive in because I know it's been highly anticipated, probably the most out of all the GP9s that are due in. Second disclaimer is these are actually coming in now, according to my tracking information. It looks like they're going to come in February. I was really hoping they'd come in by the end of January, but it looks like February is the updated time. So let's go ahead and show the THMB Jeep 9, one of 3. One of 3 locomotives that are 3 GP9s that this road had. Now these were delivered to the THMB in 1954, numbered 401 to 403, and that pretty much completed the railway's diesel fleet. They didn't purchase any more motive power for the remainder of its operating years, which I thought was kind of neat. But what's really cool about the THMB, they were one of the first railways in Canada to fully dieselize. All the way back to January of 1948, they purchased 4 NW2 diesel switchers. And throughout the 40s and 50s, they would purchase at least 2 orders of the GP7s. They bought some SW9s, and then finally they bought these GP9s. And like I said, there was only 3. So you can own the whole fleet of the THMB GP9s, 401, 402, and 403. And a couple of neat things. For those that don't know, THMB, they ran these GP9s long hood forward, which is why I've got it situated like this in the studio. And it's just a really attractive paint scheme. It really is. I think the Canadians do some of the best paint schemes. It's just a classy looking paint scheme. And this, you know, it was not a huge, railroad. Now you'll notice the torpedo tubes on the long hood. These were used briefly in passenger service. Lauren's posting, he says, come and run through power from Buffalo to Toronto with PC, CR, and CP power. Yes, I have read that. I think Lauren, we did a live last year and you told me that. If you don't know Lauren James, he has got Otter Creek up in Canada, and someday I'm going to get up there. Indeed. I have no connection to this railroad whatsoever. And yeah, I have no business to buy one of these. But they are just really nice. Indeed, very classy scheme. And yes, Lauren, absorbed into CP. Yeah. It would be, you know, I remember Lauren talking to me one night about this line in particular, and I believe Tony Cook was involved. Of course, Tony Cook's just a wealth of information. And the more these guys were telling me about it, the more I thought, man, this is just begging to be a model railroad. So if you're in the market for looking for a cool railroad with some cool connections, you might want to look into this, because, man, I mean, I think it would have the beginnings of a really cool layout. See, Lauren's adding some more. If you don't know, Lauren is a absolute walking textbook of Canadian roads. The guy knows so much about Canadian roads. If I have a question about Canadian stuff, I usually go to Lauren. And what he's talking about here is units also spent time on the CP lines. I'm not even going to try to botch that name, Lauren. Junction, Toronto. I mean, these are the kind of things that make this railroad so interesting. Eugene says, Jim, remember those ugly ducklings? Which ones? Remind me again, which ones? See, here's another classic shots of these units at Buffalo at Frontier Yard. And I think, Lauren, you showed me some of those pictures. It's begging to be modeled. If you just got into the hobby, and I don't care how much room you've got, maybe you've got some room for something in your spare room, or you know, your basement, and you just don't know what to model, check this out. Now I'm getting some good comments too about other roads. I'm going to go through here in a little bit. Here's Ben's. He's like, we need some GTW Jeep 9s in blue and orange. Well, what about black and orange? Any need for that, or are you more into the blue and orange era? Frederick says he seconds that. I remember seeing those too in Vermont. I saw somebody else ask for a road that we don't really get a lot of requests for. Let's see. Let me see. Somebody else is asking. A lot of Grand Trunk guys out there today. That's good. Look at this. Okay, you know what I'm gonna tell you guys. I tell you this every week. Tom's on board for the black and orange GT. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. So there you have it. These are going to be in stock February, barring any other shipping issues that we may have. We're looking at February. That's the updated status. If you pre-ordered these, I hope you did. because I have a feeling that once other folks see these in the hobby shops and online at your favorite retailer, they're going to go quick. In fact, I'm going to make a prediction that out of all of the GP9s of that release, you know, the Boston and Maines, the Louisville and Nashville, even the cool CP, I believe out of all of those, I think these are going to go first. That's my prediction. I may be wrong, but, you know, according to Lauren, he's already sold out. So I hope you pre-ordered. I hope you pre-ordered because they might be hard to find. If you did pre-order, you'll probably be getting a phone call and or an email from your dealer soon. And it'll be cool to have the complete collection of GP9s from this railroad on your layout. And you know what? Really, if you've got a connection to any of those roads that Lauren mentioned earlier, you've got an excuse. So really, really cool. All right, I got some times for some questions here. And yeah, check out Otter Valley too when you get a chance. He's up there in the beautiful country. And oh man, someday I want to get up there. Brian Wilkinson says, will there be a second run of the THMB? Not for a while. Typically we will do a run of a locomotive and they'll be run eventually, but case in point, a few weeks ago we talked about the SD45-2s and I erroneously said that the billboard or pinstripe paint scheme hadn't been offered before. I didn't go back far enough. Many years ago they had been offered, but it had been well over 10 years. And that may be the case with these. It all depends. So that's why I always tell everybody pre-order. You don't want to be left out. And these probably gonna, oh man, I hope you pre-ordered them. Let's see. Patrick, good question. Thanks for noticing. Are you guys adding the CarTrack ACI tags to the 5704? If not, the run won't match the prototype. Right, you are. When we were talking to Tony on Friday about this specific unit, Tony shared with us the actual artwork that BNSF is using for that locomotive. And it's right down to the ACI panel. So yes, our release will have the ACI panels. You will need to attach them. There'll be a separate part in a little poly bag inside the box of the locomotive. But yes, they will be included. Good question. When will we see the Mac 80? Well, if you pre-order the Mac 80 before Friday the 28th, they are due to hit the shores here next February, next March, somewhere in there. It takes about a year. I try to remind everybody, these aren't mass-produced models. These are actually custom built. These are custom built models, and they have to be, you know, there's some automation involved, but a lot of them are hand built. It's amazing what the factory can do. And like I said, they're a custom locomotive and they're custom built to a certain amount of numbers. And when they're gone, when they're sold out at our distribution center or the hobby shop, they're hard to find. Sometimes you can find them on an online auction site, but let's see. How about a tour of the parts department? Well, I can tell you, I haven't been down there today. I usually on Tuesdays I go down there quick. It's not what you think. It's pretty well organized. It's just bins for certain releases, and the guys go through those bins, and then those bins are smaller bins with different parts. You know, you bring up a good reminder though, when you are asking for parts, please in your email, please be very specific as to the model that you have, the part number of the model that you have, and the part description, in some cases the color, as well as the part number. And that just makes it easier for our guys to find that, get it back to you as quickly as possible. You know, the good news is Genesis locomotives, even the ready to roll locomotives, are so detailed. They're very nicely detailed out of the package. I mean, again, look at the details on this. The bad news is, well, I'm sure you've seen the videos of shipping services and how they treat our packages. Not going to say more than that. So these do pretty well with all the detail, but sometimes parts fall off and you can't find it for whatever reason. So give us as much information in the email. And if you're looking for that email, you can find it at athearn.com. Go to the Contact Us page, and you will see the service email that you can contact directly and get that taken care of. Kevin says, don't let Herc into the parts department. Is he trying to scratch build something? Maybe he's trying to scratch build something. Let's see. Brad says we need more present day freight cars in Genesis. What would you suggest, Brad? We've got a few now. Present day, yeah, they're, I guess by some they would be considered modern, but if you're modeling, you know, right here and now, they might not be as modern as to your liking. So give us an idea of what kind of freight cars you'd like to see in the future in the Genesis line, and let us know in the product suggestion email. Let's see. Loving the Dash 9 Genesis 2.0. Good to hear. They are really neat. Scott wants to know, any news for N-Scale? Not this month. Stay tuned. We haven't forgotten the N-Scale guys. Remember, there's 2 N-Scale guys on the Athearn team, so don't worry. We won't forget you. Here's a cool suggestion by Jeffrey. SD45-2B Hammerhead. That would be cool. All right, I got time for one more question, and then we're going to pull the pin on here. And yeah, you might have missed it earlier, but we were talking about the Jeep 9s. They have been delayed till February, which really is only about a week away. So hopefully we see them soon. I understand you're looking for the GP9s and GP9Bs for the Union Pacific, which those were part of that run. Yeah, like I said, it should be here about February. I don't know. There might be some people out here after seeing that might just want to. I have to admit, you know, the CP has been really keeping my interest preoccupied as of late. Let's see. A lot of good suggestions. Pretty much, I'll tell you, you know, go to our email and put those in. What's the outlook for Athearn N? Well, there's some stuff that we haven't announced to you yet that I know about that I'm looking forward to announcing. Yeah, and it's probably time for something a little bit, well, you'll see. But don't give up. Just because we haven't announced anything this month in N-Scale, that doesn't mean we've forgotten you. All right, so with that, I want to thank everybody for coming on board tonight and checking out the cool stuff that we're announcing for this month. You have till the 28th to make those final selections of the January. You've got a lot to choose from with the SD90 Mac H version, the SD80 Mac, and the SD45-2. Now, don't forget that BNSF locomotive is going to get donated to the Southern California Railway Museum. When people start seeing that locomotive painted up again in its original colors, it's going to be very, very popular. This past weekend, I was with Ken Jr. at Train World. We had a live event just on the SD45-2s, and there's a lot of interest in that. So get your pre-orders in on that. You don't want to be disappointed and not get it next year, because it's going to be very popular, probably almost as popular as these THMB Jeep 9s are right now. So there we go. So with that said, don't forget this Friday, the 28th, 3:30 p.m., we will be doing the new announcements. I'll be coming to you live from my workshop, and we'll be going over the stuff for February. There's some really cool stuff. There's something for everyone, and I think you'll enjoy it. So until I see you guys again on Friday, 3:30 p.m. Central Time, I want everybody out there to go back to the workshop, do some great modeling, work on the layout, be happy, be healthy, and be kind to others. And high greens, everyone. Take care.